desert stretched out before me, an expanse of barren land that seemed to mock the notion of life. I trudged through the gritty sand, each step leaving a mark that would be quickly swallowed by the unyielding winds. The sun beat down upon me, its rays relentless, as if conspiring with the desert to extract every ounce of moisture from my very being. Sweat poured down my forehead, stinging my eyes and blurring my vision. It was in this unforgiving wasteland that my nightmare began. I stumbled upon a scorpion, its menacing form a stark contrast against the monochromatic backdrop. Its sleek black body glistened with a sinister sheen, a creature built for survival in this harsh realm. As I watched, its segmented tail curled menacingly, poised to strike at any moment. The scorpion's eyes locked onto mine, a chilling gaze that seemed to penetrate my soul. I knew then that I had become an unwitting intruder in its realm, a trespasser that would soon face the consequences. A sudden gust of wind blew across the desert, carrying with it a faint whisper. It was a voice, a disembodied murmur that seemed to echo from the depths of the sand itself. It spoke of forgotten tales, of lost souls and vengeful spirits. I shook off the eerie feeling that crept up my spine, dismissing it as a trick of the wind. But deep inside, a primal fear began to take hold. Days turned into nights, and nights into days as I wandered aimlessly through the vast expanse. Hunger gnawed at my belly, and thirst clung to my parched throat like a relentless demon. I was a wanderer trapped in an endless loop, a solitary figure lost in a desert that knew no mercy. Then one fateful night I stumbled upon a sight that froze the blood in my veins. A skull, bleached white by the unrelenting sun, lay partially buried in the sand. Its hollow socket stared back at me, devoid of life but brimming with a haunting presence. A chill swept through the desert air, carrying with it an unmistakable aura of death. I felt the weight of the skull's gaze, as if the very essence of its former inhabitant lingered in the barren wasteland. As I stood there, paralyzed by a mixture of terror and curiosity, I became acutely aware of a growing presence around me. The scorpion emerged from the shadows, its movements deliberate and purposeful. It crawled towards the skull, its pointed legs clicking against the desert floor like an otherworldly metronome. I watched, unable to tear my eyes away, as the scorpion reached the skull and perched atop it with an almost reverential air. A deafening silence enveloped the desert, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breaths. The scorpion and the skull seemed to merge into one, forming a grotesque tableau that defied explanation. It was as if the desert had conjured a macabre dance, a ritual that would bind me to its unforgiving embrace. Fear constricted my chest, and a primal instinct for survival surged through my veins. I turned on my heels, fleeing from the surreal scene with a newfound energy. But the desert was relentless, its grip unyielding. The scorpion's whispered warnings and the skull's haunting gaze pursued me relentlessly, etching themselves into the very fabric of my being. I became a prisoner of the desert, a lost soul condemned to wander its vastness for eternity. In the end, it was not the scorpion or the skull that claimed me, but the unrelenting desolation that consumed my sanity. And as the wind carried my desperate cries into the abyss, the desert whispered its cold, indifferent truth, that in the face of its merciless nature, no one escapes unscathed.